Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. I am very pleased today to be able to show you a preview of a brand new roll and write game from Two Acorns Games, creators of Villagers of Oak Dell, which funded on Kickstarter last year with almost 2,300 backers pledging over €22,000. Now, Two Acorn Games are planning to repeat and surpass that success with their dungeon crawler, Dungeons of Oak Dell, which will arrive on Kickstarter on the 17th of September 2024. I will put a link to the campaign page in the video description below, and I do advise hitting the notification button because there will be a day one reward for early bird backers. Before I get into the gameplay, it is important to note this campaign is for a print and play game. Pledge levels are set at €6 for the base game or €12 for the full deluxe game, but you aren't paying for physical components, only the rules and all of the files necessary to make a copy for your own use. I was lucky enough to receive a fully constructed prototype of the game, showing what is possible if you have access to a 3D printer and some decent crafting supplies. So do be aware, everything you will see in this video is, firstly, not 100% finalized, and secondly, only an example of what your game may look like. Having said all of that, don't worry if you aren't the crafty sort. Two Acorn Games realises not everybody wants to go through the effort of printing and cutting their own game, so they are currently in negotiations with a company that will print the game for you for an additional fee. There should be more information about that development during the campaign. For now, let's go dungeon plunging. My copy came in this sturdy, nicely illustrated box. Again, you will get all of the files and instructions necessary to make this. And inside I had the draft rules, an acorn-shaped first player token, a selection of monster cards including 2 different bosses, 8 double-sided maps, that's 2 different map layouts, each available in easy and normal modes, 4 double-sided character sheets with 4 different characters, and a large dice sheet. Under all of that was a 3D printed insert with space for 12 dice, 6 white and 6 black, plus some very nifty 3D printed accessories. These awesome shields, which have a straight edge for drawing lines and notches measuring out 2 cm distances. And then these. These are really fun. Regular dry erase marker pens, but with printed removable sword handles. That's really cute. Setting up to play is really simple. You place the dice sheet in the middle of the table and then put out a number of white and black dice determined by the number of players. I'm setting up a solo game here which requires 3 white and 3 black dice. Then each player selects a character. These character sheets initially seem rather intimidating, there is a lot going on, but they're pretty straightforward really. There is a health bar at the top, 3 skill trees on the left where you can gradually unlock new skills, equipment on the right which grants permanent bonuses, and potions at the bottom. Any icons already circled on the sheet indicate starting abilities and potions. So our warrior here starts the game with a single yellow potion, a level 1 damage skill, and a level 1 blocking skill. Players then grab a sword, a shield, and a dungeon map. This is the map for the boss hunt mission, in which you start at the lower left and must make it to the top right space and destroy a powerful enemy before you run out of time. If you are playing a multiplayer game, make sure everyone is using the same map. Next, shuffle the level 1, level 2 and level 3 monsters separately and draw monsters of each level equal to the number of players plus 1. Make 3 draw piles and then deal 1 level 1 monster to each player. If you are using a dungeon that has bosses, shuffle the boss monsters and make a deck equal in size to the number of players. Determine the first player who receives the acorn token, and that's it, you are ready to play. The game plays out in rounds. The first player rolls all of the dice, allocating them to the matching slots on the dice sheet. Then, players will take turns to select a dice, starting with the first player. After selecting a dice, if you are playing solo, you must immediately discard the next highest dice on the dice sheet, choosing the highest value black dice in the event of a tie. Otherwise, you simply select a dice and play out the 3 phases of a turn. Choosing the right dice is essential, as it will determine everything you do for the rest of the round. First, it will determine how many spaces you must move in the dungeon. If we look at our map, we can see that I am starting at the entrance in the lower left. 4 spaces to the left of me is a blue potion, 4 spaces to the right is a red potion, while 3 spaces ahead is a yellow potion. As I'm on the clock and need to get to that boss, I want to move fast, and I want to pick up some decent loot as I go, so let's grab that yellow potion. You don't have to land on a potion to grab it, you can just pass over it, but there is a black dice on the dice sheet that will let us move 3 spaces, and that's perfect. Taking a black dice is risky, as we will see in a moment, but they do allow you to move at greater speed, so you will have to balance speed against caution with each selection you make. So I take this black dice, which has a value of 3. As I am playing solo, I must also discard the highest value dice still on the sheet. That would be the white 6. If there was also a black 6, I would have to discard that one instead. Now we track our route on the dungeon map. I have to move all 3 spaces, but that lands me on my yellow potion. Hurrah! I can mark I now have 1 more yellow potion on my character sheet by circling it. There are loads of other things to find in the dungeons. Brightly lit spaces where monsters will find it harder to attack, fountains that give you extra hit points, doors that require keys or skills to open, traps that will inflict damage unless you land on them by exact count, and treasure chests that let you select 1 piece of equipment to add to your character. But for now, our movement is over, and it's time to fight. At the beginning of the game, we were allocated a level 1 enemy, a pesky bat. This critter is going to be our shadow until we deal with it, chasing us wherever we go and inflicting damage. Fortunately, each turn we get a chance to wallop it, and this brings us to the cleverest and certainly most unusual part of this game. The dice you use to move also determines the attack position you can strike from. Each space on the dice wheel has a coloured symbol. In our case it was orange, and there are matching symbols printed on the monster card. To strike the monster, we draw a line using our sword and shield, and we draw that line from the selected symbol, making the line connect with any other symbol on the card. When we do this, there are 2 things we are trying to achieve. We want to draw lines so they cross useful icons on the monster card. For example, if I draw a line from this orange symbol to the blue symbol at the top, I have crossed over a key icon, which means I can pick up a key. I mark that on my map, and later on I can use it to open a door that's in my way. Other symbols on the card may let you unlock basic skills. Here, for example, if I was to draw my line from the orange symbol on the left to the blue symbol on the right, I would cross a damage skill, which would let me circle the next level of that skill on my character sheet. In this particular case, doing that would also let me unlock the connected door bash special skill, which I can use once per game to smash a door when I don't have a key. Each character class has different special skills they can unlock by leveling up their basic skills, including breaking through walls, running, disabling monster abilities, dodging and stunning foes. The second thing we want to do is actually hit the monster. This is significantly more difficult, because the trick here is you only hit the monster if you can make lines that intersect over the top of the monster's artwork. So the 2 lines we have drawn here haven't scored a hit. It was close, but no cigar. However, if, for example, we later connected this yellow on the left with the orange on the right, we have scored a direct hit on the monster, inflicting a single wound, which we can then mark on the card. The more lines you cross with a single swing, the more wounds you inflict. It sounds easy, I mean really easy, but it's not. Because, this is the important bit, when you are deciding where to place your line, you aren't normally allowed to use your ruler to figure it out. You have to do it by eye. As soon as you place the ruler, you are committed to drawing that line. You would not believe how difficult it can be to eyeball the best strikes, and how easy it is to completely misjudge where lines will cross. I miss far more often than I hit as I flail around ineffectually. It's embarrassing. And to make matters worse, usually when you attack you are only allowed to draw 1 line at a time, and only between 2 points that have not been previously used to make a line. Fortunately, you have many skills, potions and items to aid you. Skills are gradually accumulated throughout your adventure, and each circle you add to a skill tree gives you 1 chance to use that skill. You can use each skill once per phase by crossing off a previously unused circle. But be careful, once you use them, you lose them, and you are going to need as many bonuses as possible for completing the endgame objective. The first ability adds damage to a successful strike. Here, our warrior has unlocked 5 uses of this skill, but he has already used 1 previously. We can cross off any one of the 4 remaining circles to add damage to our attack equal to the value inside that circle. We will just select a single blood drop to add 1 damage, saving our more powerful attacks for the tougher enemies ahead. The second ability is Additional Strikes. If we use this ability, we can select one symbol on the monster chart, and for the rest of the current turn, we can draw as many lines to and from that symbol as we can. This opens up these zigzag patterns that can really slice and dice a foe. Potions can often help if you have them to spare. My particular favourite is the yellow potion of focus that lets you check all the possible strikes you can make using the ruler before committing to drawing a line. I'm also fond of the purple potion, which lets you draw 3 connected lines in one attack. And finally, you may have equipment you can use, like this sword, which you can use whenever you would normally be allowed to strike from a green symbol to attack from any unused point of your choosing. Also note, collecting sets of equipment will unlock extra uses of your basic skills. Like here, acquiring a sword and a shield will unlock 2 instances of the damage skill. There is a lot to think about and lots to learn. Each character has their own skills and equipment unique to them, and it will take a little while to internalise all of the iconography. At the start of the adventure, you may find your options are rather limited, but as you begin to level up, the wealth of options available becomes rather impressive, and the game does a fantastic job of giving you tough choices to make. Long-time viewers will recall that I enjoy one-shot abilities and items because of the agonising decisions they force you to make, and this game really leans into that concept. Sometimes you will know you have everything you need to destroy a monster, but doing so will use up valuable resources that you are sure to need later on. It's never easy to know what to do. And of course, the monsters aren't just going to sit there and take a beating. After you have finished your attack, you must roll the dice you took from the dice sheet and then compare the result to the monster's attack chart to see how much damage your hero takes in retaliation. Attacks made with the white dice are less powerful, with a lower chance of doing damage. That is the reward for your caution when moving in the dungeon. For example, here we rolled the black dice, scoring a 6, which means the bat hits us for 2 damage. If we had rolled the same result on the white dice, it would only have done 1 damage. You won't be surprised to learn there are ways to mitigate that damage. For a start, if you are in a lit space of the dungeon, or you choose to discard one of your torches before making the monster attack roll, you reduce the value of the dice roll by 2. Then you have the benefit of certain equipment. My armour here can reduce the value of the roll by an additional 1 point, while the helmet lets me spend 1 instance of my damage skill to skip the monster's attack phase completely. And if all else fails, you have your block skill. You can cross off a circle to reduce the damage received by an amount equal to the value printed in that circle. So you are hardly ever at the mercy of the dice, but always remember, most of these skills are single use, and somewhere in the darkness, greater threats are waiting for you. The monsters of Oak Dell are tenacious, and if you don't defeat them, they will continue to follow you and you will have to fight them again on subsequent rounds in a battle of attrition. This battle will eventually end in one of 3 ways. Firstly, your hero can die. If at any point the damage you have received matches the total number of hearts in your health bar, that's game over. Secondly, the monster can run away. This happens if you have used every point on the monster's card, you haven't got any skills that allow you to reuse points, and you still haven't generated enough damage to kill it. When this happens, rather than attacking you, the monster inflicts damage equal to the number of hit points it has remaining and scurries to the bottom of the monster deck. Finally, the fight can end if you kill the beast. This simply entails inflicting enough damage to cross off all of the blood drops in the monster's health bar. You receive any rewards listed on the monster card, usually potions and skills, and then the monster is discarded to the bottom of the relevant monster deck. Whenever you don't have a monster in front of you, you should draw a replacement, taking a card from the level that corresponds to how far into the dungeon you have travelled. And there's a fun variety of enemies to battle, each with their own special gimmicks. The bat we have been fighting will grant you an extra potion if you inflict a total of 8 damage to it instead of the 6 needed to kill it. This requires you to set up a powerful final blow. This mimic only takes damage if you hit the fleshy arms, legs and mouth, but if you hit its body 4 times before it dies, you will get a piece of equipment. This monster permanently adds 2 to its attack rolls for each hit you inflict on its wings. And sometimes you may have to fight multiple monsters at once, like these 2 skeletons, which have their own health bars and separate attacks. There are loads of other monsters, including 2 bosses which are a lot more sophisticated than the regular enemies and have specific weak points you need to target. After the monster phase, the next player in clockwise order takes a dice, and so on until the dice are gone. In total, each player will get 3 turns in the round, after which the acorn token is passed to the player on the left, who rolls all of the dice and starts a new round. Eventually, someone will find and kill the boss, or locate and destroy 3 evil shrines depending on the dungeon you are playing through, everybody will run out of time, or everyone will die, which, in my experience, seems more likely. That's the basic gist of the gameplay. It's a roll and write dungeon plunging experience with fast playing accessible rules. I would say the biggest hurdle to overcome is memorising the many icons on the various sheets, but hopefully there will be some player aids in the final offering to help with that. And the game does reward you for taking the time to familiarise yourself with those icons. In each game there are plenty of decisions to make. Where should you explore? How fast should you explore? Which skills should you try to unlock? Which equipment do you need? And when should you use your valuable resources? And the game has a unique combat system which initially seems quite unusual but works rather well. The idea of drawing your sword strikes onto the targets is ingenious, and it is way harder than it has any right to be. Now, as always with these previews, do remember that all of this is subject to change as the game continues through the development prior to launch, but hopefully this video has given you a good idea of what to expect if you decide to back. So I guess that's it from me for now. If you would like to know more about Dungeons of the Oak Dell, follow the link in the video description below and click the notification button so you can stay informed of when the campaign goes live. And, as always, if you like the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone, bye bye.